You know, there are a lot of different opinions floating around on the internet, but I think there's one thing that we can agree on. Corporations are awesome. I mean, think of all the things that we wouldn't have if there were no corporations. We wouldn't be able to get the lowest price on anything we wanted. Child labor would have never been invented. We'd have never gotten iPads, and environmental disasters would be relatively rare. And of course, without McDonald's, we would have never gotten McDonald's Treasureland Adventure for the SEGA Genesis. This game is about, you guessed it, Ronald McDonald on an adventure to gather treasure. He's got to get 4 pieces of a treasure map, go through a pirate ship, a city, and get abducted by aliens. Honestly, are you guys hearing this crap? I feel like I'm getting dumber just by saying it out loud. So this is your usual retro gaming fare. All those luxuries of having a plot or making sense or maybe even being somewhat connected gets to sit over in the corner while the gameplay takes front and center. You might think then that since this game has a plot that could probably be found in a 3rd grader's notebook, that the platforming gameplay would then be above and beyond. For one, this game fails to use many innovations that other platformers were using at the time. It has no acceleration, so whenever you're moving left or right, you're moving at a constant instead of variable speed. It has variable jumping, but really that doesn't make a huge difference in this game, as it's only a little bit variable. I'm sure from all of that, it sounds like the game must be utter crap, since it doesn't use anything new, it's a fairly simple platformer, and the story is just, well, it's there. But it honestly has its fairly creative moments. One example of creative level design can be found in the first level. The water spout section is fairly unique. All you really can do is move back and forth and collect the items and avoid enemies as the water spout carries you up and down on the screen. This was a fairly nice change of pace from the last few sections of the level, which were just run-of-the-mill platforming levels. The bosses also have a fairly unique way of being defeated. You have to let them hit you, which causes them to suck one of the little jewels into their mouths and they start chewing on it, and while they're chewing on it, you can do damage to them. Does that sound absolutely stupid? Of course it does. This is a game about Ronald McDonald searching for treasure in various places like a cave and in space. Of course it's going to be a little weird, but it works. After you get to the forest section, yeah, that last place was a forest if you couldn't tell. You end up on a train going through a cave. You have to duck down to avoid getting hit by the low overhangs in the darkness. Really, this part's pretty easy. All you have to do is duck down anytime you hear the train whistle. As the train moves through the tunnel, everything gets gradually darker and darker until pretty much the entire screen is pitch black. What? So in this section, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to describe what's going on here. If I even try, my brain will jump out of my head in protest. You see what's going on, you make sense of it. So after whatever that was, we find ourselves in the city. The first screen puts us on the street, where sumo wrestlers stop on the traffic lights to make the pavement move up and down. I don't know why you're cutting to me, that seems perfectly normal. This part's not difficult, you just gotta watch out for the little cars that are trying to kill you. After a few pretty mundane platforming sections, you'll make it to the boss. What is that? No. I want an answer. Is it an alien? A spaceship? A robot? An alien robot? What? I've got to move on, don't I? If I keep getting hung up on every single weird thing that happens in this game, we're never going to finish this review. Beating this thing is pretty simple. You let it hit you like the boss before, and then you hit it while it's chewing on a jewel. Oh, and as long as you're not on the balloons, it's pretty much harmless. I tried so hard. I tried so hard to just let it go. And then we have a little green gremlin pop out of it. And with that, this city section is brought to a close. After that is the Magical Sea section. That came out wrong. What? I'm not going to show any clips of it. It's boring. It is terribly, terribly boring. We're just going to go on to space, because space is pretty awesome. Remember how I said before that variable jumping wasn't important in this game? Well, that's true for everything but this section, in which it becomes the central mechanic. Because of these brand new jumping physics that the game decided to surprise us with, this section is pretty difficult. I died a number of times going through it because I misjudged how high I could jump or how far I could jump. And as it turns out, bottomless pits aren't very forgiving. From here on, the game can more or less be summed up by, well, that was a good idea, but you implemented it terribly. There are a number of unique sections, but they just get boring because they were done rather poorly. And yes, those were fat cats with wings and handles attached to them. It's weird, what do you want me to say? The final boss itself is probably the best example of this problem. The idea is extremely unique. The three levels that are separated, and the only way to move between them is the doors that match. It's an interesting boss, or at least an interesting concept for a boss. As long as you're not on the same level as this guy, he pretty much can't hurt you. It's really easy and pretty anticlimactic way to end the game. Okay, I have to admit one thing though. The music for the final boss is pretty much awesome. Let's go ahead and cue that so you can hear it. Yeah, that bit with Ronald McDonald and all. Overall, I think I would call this game mediocre. It's a functional platformer, and it's certainly not going to frustrate you with bugs or glitches or anything, but it could have been a lot better than it was. Certain moments just fell flat because the developers had a good idea, but simply didn't seem to know what to do with it. The bosses are creative, the level design is good, the art is good, and the music, well, the music is just great. But I don't think I would recommend this game necessarily. So a game about Ronald McDonald, as it turns out, is a little bit like McDonald's food. It's not winning any awards anywhere, but it's generally unoffensive. And that is Ronald McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. See you next time.